Okay, and we're live. Hello, welcome to the Enable Town Hall meeting for April 29th, 2016. I'm Justine Diamond, your host for this week's meeting. Town Hall is a weekly meeting held as a Google Hangout on Air. At Town Hall, team leads, community members, and foundation members are able to update the community on what's been happening during the week and what's coming up. We encourage you to ask questions of any of our speakers, and the easiest way to do that is through the Q&A feature that's built into Hangouts. You'll find the Q&A at the upper right-hand corner of your screen if you just click on the little grid of 9 boxes. If you're watching on certain devices, such as an iPad or on some phones, you probably won't be able to access the Q&A, and in that case, the best thing to do is to leave a question on the post for this event, and we will answer it either here or in a comment. If we don't answer the question during the town hall and we can't put it onto the post, I'll have it included in the notes. And a link to the notes will be available shortly after the broadcast is completed. Town hall is about the Enable community. I read through the community and attend R&D hangouts and the post-secondary chapter hangouts. And that's where I often find members of the community that have been doing some really cool things. We try to get those people in here to talk about the different things that we're working on. For example, I know last week we had Peter Graven in, who with his students has been doing some really amazing things. And if you check out the community, you can find out some more about that. Sometimes I'll find out newspaper articles or Facebook posts about what people are doing in the Enable community, and we try and bring them in as well. We're going to be a little short on speakers and on time today, so I apologize for that we will probably not be here for the full hour. We do have, though, some big news, and that is that yesterday the Enable Community Foundation announced the initial recipients of the 2016 Enable Community Foundation Internship Program. This program is designed to encourage full-time student participation in the Enable community and open source collaborative problem solving under supervision of professors at a post-secondary institution. So the professors, as principal investigators, apply for these grants, and then they have students do the work. Throughout the summer, the interns and their supervising PIs will be reporting on their progress to the Enable Google Plus community through posts, participation in the R&D forums, and a series of scheduled hangouts. You may remember that during the past couple of months, we've occasionally brought in the interns from last summer to report on the work that they're doing. And it's been great to see what they're doing and to be able to support that work. So basically, awards of $5,000 are being conferred to each one to pay for one or more summer students who are working on assistive device designs, fabrication, or related research. In making these grants, priority consideration was given to project proposals that promised to make a substantial contribution to the Enable community based on design, fabrication, material sciences, feedback and analysis techniques. 3 projects were selected for the initial phase of the 2016 program, but as there is an opportunity or possible opportunity that additional awards may be made as well. So the 3 that we did, the first one, well, actually, these are not in any particular order, was to lead researcher Jordan Miller at Rice University. They are going to continue improving the form and function of a Raptor Reloaded hand they remade into a hand called the Owl hand. You may remember that's Akhil Surapanini. He came to Town Hall in January to talk about the work that he was doing, particularly with thumb placement and wrist action. He's going to be continuing his work on that over the summer. The next one is Eric Bubar at Marymount University. He'll be working on a project on testing grip strength of hands. And the third one is Dr. Stephen Hugo Aker and his student Jessica Burgau at the University of Florida. And they are working on some activity-specific terminal devices and training arms, sort of along the lines and very much in terms with what Skip has been doing. As we get more information about these projects, we'll be posting lots of updates to the community, so you can check for those there. This past week, members of the foundation and some volunteers were in Dubai at the invitation of the Al Jalila Foundation to participate in an event called Destination Medicine, where 2,000 Emirati school children were introduced. They're introduced to the medical field and encouraged to go into medicine. And one of the activities they had was working through what it is that e-NABLE does and how we do it. So they were able to see how CAD programs work, how printers work, how hands are assembled, and get a good idea and be encouraged to get involved in that field. What I'm going to do, I was hoping that we would have Rich Lehrer. He can only be here for a short period of time today because he has another commitment, but he hasn't been able to join us yet. So I'm going to pass this over to Joe with chapter updates. Joe?
Thanks, Justine. So currently we have about bi-weekly chapter meetings. On Wednesdays, we have a morning session and an evening session that's Eastern times of 8:30 to 9:30 in the morning, and then 9:30 to 10:30 at night, again, Eastern time. So if you'd like to be involved, if your chapter out there at a university, school, or college is interested in joining with that video chat, shoot me an email at jfairley@enablecommunityfoundation.org, and we can add you into that. So there we talk about different things that are going on within the community, pushing out the design challenges and whatnot, as well as getting some direct feedback on how things are going on within the chapters. One thing that I'm trying to push out to the chapters right now is the fact of trying to start up a structured follow-up program, so that when people have recipients that they're working with, that they continue on that relationship with that person as long as they would want to, reciprocally from both ways, just to make sure that that person receiving the device is using it the correct way, getting the kind of care that they need for making sure the device is still workable, usable for them. They know how to clean it, they know how to do different exercises with their residual muscles so that they can better use the hand, making sure that they get some feedback on what they're able to do with the hands so that we can better then implement some research and design aspects in the background, and make these necessary changes to the hands, looking at the overall comfort and usability of it as well, looking at the differences between the Velcro design of encapsulating the palm with some of the hands, as well as using the thermoform mesh. As we introduce that, to more and more people, we want to get the feedback to see exactly how these are working for these people. So through this follow-up program that I'm going to be trying to implement in more of the chapters and developing further in the next couple months here, really focuses around getting the feedback from the recipients that they have within their chapters, and then having a regular schedule, getting back out to the recipients, making sure that they're using it correctly and don't have any issues. If the hand breaks in some aspect, then it's being sent back to that chapter in the right fashion to be fixed. So there will be more details on that. We'll be talking in depth more at the chapter meetings. Currently, we have a couple of chapter applications that have been filled out, so thank you guys for doing that. We are in the background as well, still trying to get those chapters approved, so we will notify you guys as soon as possible when that happens. With other aspects of what's going on with the chapters, I'm currently working on a couple different things with the Merrimack College chapter. We've been experimenting with printing out with flexible filament, anything from NinjaFlex to SemiFlex, as well as now the Ultimaker flexible PLA. So what we're doing with that is trying to print out one of the Open Bionics Ada hand designs to look at some more of the myoelectric control devices that are out there to see how we might be better implementing them into the enabled devices. So getting some feedback with the flexible PLA is huge from Ultimaker. So far, we're printing it on an Ultimaker 2 without the upgraded extruder. So they came out with an extruder for the Ultimaker 2 Plus, and they're able to switch that out with the Ultimaker 2 fairly easily. But without that, we're still able to use that flexible plastic in order to try to print out some different designs. So the Flexi hand is also going to be in the works, printing out with that plastic. So we'll definitely update you as that goes along. I'm going to be graduating from Merrimack College May 20th, but we have in place a couple of people who are willing to take the reins and go forward with continuing on the chapter. We've currently are now a club. We just became a club a couple days ago on campus, so we have that support from the Student Government Association, as well as support on the aspects of from our couple advisors as well. So we're bringing in a professor who is a physical therapist, giving us the kind of clinical background to help us with the follow-up program and some other needs. He's going to be helping us with, not only developing the follow-up program, but bringing in a biomechanics aspect into this. He currently teaches anatomy as well as biomechanics, and I've been his teaching assistant over the past year and gotten some great feedback from him as far as what the devices are right now and how we might be able to implement different designs that are out there. So that's where the Merrimack College chapter is at. And again, if you guys would like to, if you are interested in becoming a chapter, you can go on the enablecommunityfoundation.org website, and if you go under the we have a question. I'll get to that in 1 second. If you go under the Partners tab, sorry, I'll get to it for you right here. So if you go under the Get Involved tab at the top, you scroll down to Partners, and then that brings you to a page where on the right-hand side, you can open up the Chapters page. And that's going to bring you to the chapter introduction and application process. Again, if you have any questions about that, you can email me at jfairley@enablecommunityfoundation.org, or you can also email chapters@enablecommunityfoundation.org with any questions on the application process. So we have a question of, can we start a chapter here in the Los Angeles area in the process from Joe Wise. So Joe, if you just reference what I just said, going on the website and checking out that page, we'll make sure that a link to that page is put into the notes. That's going to be made available after the talk. Right now, the chapters are centered around colleges, universities, and other schools, meaning a high school, middle school within the U.S. So if there is any of those associations, then that is what a chapter will involve at the moment, and you'll get a better sense of that as you go through the chapter introduction and application. Again, feel free to email me at any point with stuff regarding that. And I believe that'll be it for me today, Justine.
Okay, thank you very much. I saw Peter popped up for a second, then he left. So hopefully while I talk about this next thing, it will give him some time to reconnect. So currently, right now, as a matter of fact, there is a summit going on that's been organized by Carnegie Mellon in collaboration with e-NABLE and the University of Pittsburgh. And it's being held out in Pittsburgh right now. Jen Mankoff, who's a computer science professor at Carnegie Mellon, has been instrumental in getting this set up and organized. And it's a series of talks and breakout groups planned that not only is on the work of e-NABLE, but other issues that come around with that. And while due to limited space, they weren't able to publicly advertise for in-person participants, they have set up a call-in number, which is through Adobe Connect. And so you can log on to that and listen in and participate in that way. I know that John Schul just spoke a little while ago. I listened to that. And if you go to our the G Plus page and look for posts by Jen Mankoff, you'll find more information on that, and as well as the link to be able to listen in to the meeting as it's going on. We've got a couple of people there. I know that John Schul is there, Skip is there, Grace is there. We've got a very good participation rate from e-NABLE, so I think that there's going to be a lot of really good stuff coming out about that, and I hope that next week we'll be able to have some more, some more information about that. But it does not appear that we are going to be getting Peter back, and so I think that we are basically
Justine, I see a couple questions on the chapter aspects.
Okay. Can a chapter be opened in another country? I would. Oh, here we go. Hi, Peter. How are you?
Oh, pretty good. My sound was a little messed up, so I had to reboot.
Okay. We're a little light today on participants. So, have you got an update?
Well, I can show you a little bit about the heart arm I've been working on.
Oh, that would be cool.
I did print the proximal part of the forearm. The forearm is the main component really that I'm working on. You know, the ball. This looks like a socket, but it's really just more like a placeholder. The idea is that a traditional prosthetic socket would basically attach to a ball. It would basically just be a ball and a neck with perhaps an M10 or M12 bolt, so that, and you could either have it thread directly into the plastic, or you could have a nut on one end, or you could run the bolt that direction. Either way, you've got basically a ball that comes off your humerus, and then here's the elbow joint, and because the heart is cut out most of the way around, you can almost see through it a little bit there. That allows the ball to snap into the socket. Now, right now it's totally loose, and so that's where the tensioner comes in. And this is the first go. This is a prototype, so obviously the first one's not going to be successful. They never are. But the way that I've got this modeled right now is there's a pin here with a hook that goes in one side, and then there's I've got a little cutout here for the little flap that actually puts tension on the bar. So this snaps in like that, and then in order to, what this does is it pulls this shut, okay, so that the ball can no longer move, right? So what that does is it fixes it in place. So you can basically, if you lift this, right, you see it now is totally loose, right? So you can position it however you want, and then you close a little flap, which is, you know, pretty much flush, well, almost flush. It sticks up a little bit, but that would actually hold it shut. Ooh, it's popped out now.
And you can lock that into any of those positions?
Right, so any position you choose. The problem is that this hook here is not very robust. So you can see where it's starting to break, right? So that was the breakage point. So here's the next prototype I've started to work on. I don't have the forearm component done yet, but basically this hook now has turned into this hook, which now doubles back on itself. So it's actually the opening of that hook is inside the channel, and then here's the closure flap, and if you let's see, I pop it in like that, right, and then when you close it, it actually pulls on this end. Now the other side, this is a number 6 screw, so this is the same kind of thread that you use in the United States to put on to attach a wall socket. You know, the screw, the wall plate, I should say, or like the outlet or the switch plate. It's a number. It's a 632, and I've got a little washer on there. So I'll need to. I'm actually almost done remodeling the forearm component to take. Basically, it'll be this block on one side, which will insert on one side of the arm, and then the thread will come through on the other end. And one of the nice things about this is that it tensions very much like the old tensioner block that we're all familiar with, right? There's the hole here, and so you can use a screwdriver to adjust the tension so that when you snap this shut, you'll have a nice firm hold, and the hook won't be able to break because the end here will actually be inside the arm, so it'll be held in place. So it's progress.
And this device, Peter, right, this will be for people who don't have an elbow, correct?
It's for above the elbow.
So transhumeral, yes. Is that?
Transhumeral, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Just in case anyone who's watching didn't realize. So this is going into an area of a device where we don't currently have an option.
Right, yeah. Yeah. So what you would start with a traditional socket made by a qualified prosthetist, which generally ends in either an M10 or an M12 threaded rod.
Right.
Right, and then you would be able to attach this ball to the threaded rod, and then the ball would snap into the forearm component. Now this is just half the forearm component. If you have the whole forearm component, it's kind of big. So at larger scales, it's not going to print on larger print beds. That's why I did this thing. There's a square hole here, and the other end of the forearm has a square peg that fits in there, and then there's a little pin that goes in the side to hold it in place. Although I would suggest, I guess turned wrong. Although I would suggest using glue, some kind of glue on the surface, and then popping it in place and using the peg to tighten it into place. The peg, you might be able to see, is actually ramped a little bit so that when you hammer it into place, it'll pull the two halves together.
Right, and then that would then be connected to a terminal device of some description.
That's right, and you know, some of you have seen the model I'm working on right now. Mostly, it's the forearm component that is this design. The terminal device right now, what I have on there is just kind of a placeholder. I think that there's a lot of room for expansion in terms of mechanical devices or very useful static type devices. But right now, I haven't really developed that end very much. I really just wanted to get the elbow joint and the wrist joint to where it could be positioned and then locked.
Yes, well, of course, right now we're running a couple of design challenges that are for terminal devices. And what you've done would work very well with those because you would just screw this screw the various different terminal devices into this, which is effectively being a socket. We've got one question on this, and actually it's from John Diamond, who wants to know if that design would use a shoulder harness to operate the hand.
It could perfectly well.
Do you have another idea?
Well, I see it as really being able to go two directions. One, you could have a static device on the end, and you could have an interchangeable static device. Even with a static device, you need some kind of harness just to hold the thing onto the person's arm. Mm-hmm. So regardless, there's going to need to be some kind of harness just to keep the plastic arm on, on the person. Well, to keep the socket on when you have a humeral type socket, then there needs to be some kind of harness to hold the socket onto the user's arm.
Right.
Now, whether that socket also has a cabling that runs, either around the outside on some kind of guides or on the inside, you could actually potentially run it. I mean, maybe not through the first one if you've got a threaded rod going through here, but you certainly could down through the wrist have a wire run actually down through the core of the device and into the wrist. But again, that will vary design to design. But I do see it as potentially being able to accommodate a mechanical actuating terminal device.
Jorge Zuniga says hi, Peter, and says that, Peter, you can look at the latest. Can you look at our latest model? Perhaps you can use our spring-loaded mechanism. I can send you the technical note, and he's given a link to the NIH repository. So we'll put a link to that as well into the notes for this meeting, and you may want to take a look and see if there's something that will work there.
Thank you, Jorge. Nice to hear from you.
And John Diamond's got another question, and he asks, do you anticipate requiring a professionally fitted socket?
Yes. At this point, that's the recommendation. This looks like a socket, which is kind of why I'm saying don't even look at this.
Right, because that's not really. I understand.
What I really want you to see is the ball, and the ball can connect to a traditionally manufactured socket. Until we develop some kind of protocol for developing sockets, especially a humeral socket that really functions right and that is advised by the community professionals who've been developing this for decades. We really, in this case, we're going to need to yield to that profession.
Could you do me a favor? Let me ask you a question, and it may clear up questions people have. Can you just hold that up one more time?
Sure.
So what you're saying is that the pink bit, what's important there is actually the ball part, which you envision would have like a screw or some way of attaching to the actual socket. So we shouldn't look at the fact that that kind of looks like. That's just so that you can put it together.
Right. So this is a ball, and then the neck might also be there, but really beyond that,
that whole thing would attach to
the ball and the neck
socket.
Could really just screw into a traditional socket. I guess there's a potential if the user really likes a certain color to make something that looks like a socket but goes outside of the actual socket.
So like a cover, so to speak.
Yeah, like a fairing. Yeah. So, but cool. Please don't get the impression that a person's arm is going to go right into this plastic. That's not.
No, I understand.
Not good practice.
That's really cool.
Yeah, thanks. I was surprised at how well the sort of spring, the heart-shaped spring worked with this. I had intended for it to originally be nylon. This is ABS. And next I'm going to try with PLA because Dante, who's heading the Haiti e-NABLE team, has asked to go with PLA. So I'm actually starting to prototype in PLA now, and I just need to make these components in PLA and make sure that there's going to be enough spring that it'll still be able to do that, without anything breaking.
How long did those pieces take to print, Peter? They look.
I don't remember. Several hours. I mean, I printed both of these in one day. So, and you can control the infill quite a bit. Like, this is ABS. I usually go with kind of a high infill, but with PLA, I'm probably going to go down to. They're radically different materials. It's probably going to be more like 30% infill for PLA. Although for ABS, it was like 70%. But it'll be a lot more lightweight when I do it in PLA. But I'll let you know. how long it takes to print. This is printing at 100%, and it's a little bit bigger, admittedly, than most of our 100% hand designs that we have. I don't think I would put this on somebody younger than about maybe 7 years old. But you know, I guess you could scale it down a little bit too. I'm not sure how well everything's going to work at smaller scales. Of course, the tolerances all get tighter, so I may need to make, you know, alternative hardware or alternative pins and things for the to fit correctly.
Mm.
But I've done that, you know, with the Osprey. There are I have sets of pins and proximals that manage tolerances so that you can print, you know, with printers under extrude or over extrude. And if you're printing small or if you're printing big, you know, it'll give you some control over the gaps between objects.
That's really cool. John says again that congratulations, this looks like a really elegant design. And it does. I like the modularity of it as well. It's really slick looking. Very good. It really,
Well, thanks.
really great. I don't think that we have any other questions. We will post the chapter information in the emails to get information on chapters into the notes so that everyone who's looking for information can get that. I will make those notes available as a comment on the broadcast video once I post it to the community, which hopefully will be later today. Peter, Joe, do either of you have anything else today? Or any comments on anything? If not, I think we are pretty good. Remember to check out the Carnegie Mellon Conference if you want to join in and take a listen to some of what's going on there. This afternoon, I believe, I'm not sure of the timing, there will be a presentation by Andrea Annie Hess, who is a prosthetist who was at the Design Summit in San Francisco back earlier this year. And she is very interesting to listen to. And I would recommend, if you're only going to, since John's already spoken, if you're going to listen into just one part of the summit, I would highly recommend listening to what Annie has to say, because I think that it will definitely be worth the time. We will be posting additional information about the fellowships into the community, and I am hoping to bring those PIs into different town halls to talk about the projects and before they get started, and then their students come in. Instead of having them come in at the end like we did last year, I like to have them come in as they're working so that we can all follow along and be a part of that process. But until then, we will see you all next week, and happy printing. Bye-bye, everybody.